Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me on this Tuesday. And if you've went out of your way to like, comment, and subscribe, that helps me and the channel out a lot. So thank you for doing that. All right, so we are getting into a time of year where the fishing is tough. And you have some positives in the summertime that you really don't have any other time that you really have to take advantage of. And that is that fish come back to the same areas. So for the next couple of months, fish are going to find a spot and just basically stay there for pretty much most of the summertime. Till that water starts cooling off in the fall or the days start getting shorter, fish are in their summer haunts, is what I like to call it. Now, that's a positive because if you are on a fishing trip or a fishing tournament or you're just going out to the lake that you always fish, fish typically are going to use the same stuff. So if you catch one here today, there should be something there tomorrow, and they're starting to group up. So it's not just like if you catch a 2-pounder there today, you're going to catch a 2-pounder there tomorrow. A lot of times you'll catch a 5-pounder there tomorrow. So you got to use that you take that into your advantage for the most part. Now, what I like to do this time of year, the fishing is tough. You know, you're going to run into hours without bites. You're going to just have unsuitable good fishing conditions. You know, you're going to have days where it's sunny, it's hot, fish don't have to bite, and for that reason, it's hard to catch bass, and especially hard to go looking for bass. So here's the deal. I've got a top water and I've got some type of bait I can fish on the bottom. I love to flip and pitch. I love to throw a frog because I like to be around heavy cover. So that's what I like to do this time of year. But if you like to throw a Carolina rig in a spook or maybe a frog in a Carolina rig, or you like to throw a 10-inch worm and a buzz bait, you can do that. But the point of this video is a top water and some type of bait you can fish on the bottom, and you want baits that aren't going to catch small ones. So I've done a lot of videos on finesse fishing, and this is not a time for finesse fishing if you are fishing shallow. So this is a shallow way to catch big fish. You're not going to catch a lot of them, but you're going to catch enough to have really good days out on the water. So here's the deal. So if I am going to start the day, typically it is with a top water. So I mentioned the spook, the buzzbait. For me, it's a frog. I go and look for some froggy looking areas, and that's how I start my day. Now, if I have to spend a full day to find something where I think I can go back tomorrow and catch one bass, that'll work. And I've done that before, and that's a proven method to just go and catch one big fish. And if you can do that, then the rest of your day, go bottom bounce. Go throw something slow on the bottom to catch 4 other bass. And the thing is there is going to be a small window for that top water to work in the morning. But the rest of the day is probably going to be a sunny, calm day where there's really not a whole lot of other stuff that works. Now, if you have a day where there's a front rolling in, you have clouds and this, then you can go back that top water and throw that and have a fun day doing that. But most of the time in the summer, you're not necessarily going to get those conditions. You're going to get a little window in the morning, but if you can just catch one and you are fishing for a big one, you're not, throwing baits that aren't going to catch a big one. You catch one big one, then you have the rest of the day to pick up some type of bottom. And it can be a jig on a bluff wall. It can be all these different things. And it's got to be a strength because it's going to be slow. So it's got to be something you're extremely confident in and you can just roll with it all day. And you're going to have little windows there where you might go an hour without a bite, then you might catch 2 in 45 minutes, and then you might catch one, you might catch a couple rather around like that later afternoon period where there is typically some type of feeding window there. But that's it. When the fishing gets tougher, fish for bigger fish and less bites. I've done a lot of videos on finesse fishing. Finesse fishing has its time and place, but unless you're around like a big school that you just can't get to bite, which you're typically not when you're fishing shallow, go for very few bites and just know when you catch one, it's quality. And depending on where you're at, you may be on a lake where 15 pounds, 5 fish, 15 pounds is a great bag. And then you might be on lakes where you need to catch 20 pounds for 5 fish. But if you run this method where it's slow bottom fishing most of the day, on those sunny, calm parts, and then you're taking advantage of those little topwater windows, you're going to put together a good sack of fish. So don't think just because the fishing is tough, you got to bust out the drop shot and the Ned rig. Go with less bites, but more quality. This is something that I love to do. And hey, here's the thing. No pressure on you, because if you go 2 or 3 hours without a bite, that's par for the course. You know, if you fish down a big line of bushes or trees, or you go for a mile and don't get a bite, that's par for the course. So fire up the big motor, go somewhere else. And typically, if you can spend just maybe an hour finding fish in like a 10-hour day, you can go back to those areas and catch fish. Because if you just have fish like in this part of the lake and this part of the lake, and you fish all this, and then you finally hit it and you finally find where they're at, you can go back tomorrow and have a really good day if you just stay right there. And if you go right where the fish are at. So that's pretty obvious, but a lot of times when you're out on the water for 10 hours and you've only gotten, 1 or 2 bites, you may think you have no chance, but that's pretty much, you've just ruled out all the places where they're not. Come back to where they're at, spend your full day right there. You're going to have a good day. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.